Alright, everybody. Welcome back to Keith 60 Hotshot Adventures, and we're working on finally making time to put in the high pressure oil pump. So we got that over here. It's been sitting on the bench here for a little while. Of course, diesel site, serial number. They already bench tested it and everything else, so it's already, full of oil, more or less. Its oil is running out since I had it upside down a little bit. So, here's the kit number. That comes with 3 O-rings. This one here, the big black one, goes here on top of your J-tube. The yellow one goes right there. And then the little black one, the skinny black one that's in the package, since I've got 2 of these kits, goes right on top of the pump right here, which is where your J-tube sits. So that's what seals your J-tube when you mount it down. Got my book over here for the torque specs for everything. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to get this in there and get it mounted and get the 3 bolts all torqued down. Alright, got the pump sitting in here, back in its home. It had I don't know what you want to call them, but it has 2 little dowel pins, I guess. There's one there, and then there's one on this corner. 3 mounting bolts, 18 pound-foot. So I went crisscross, did that one, kind of went back over them a couple times, made sure they're all at 18 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to install the J-tube. And look up what that torque spec is, and it's just gonna throw my little black washer right there on the top. I'm gonna throw some lube on it, and then it's just swing it in there. I don't know, I think I'll put it there, and then I'll just swing it over like this. I know some people have said they've had issues getting them out. Hopefully that's not the case. We'll see what happens in my case, how it goes. And then we'll get that torqued down. I don't know what the figure out the torque spec is. I think it's like 72 inch-pounds or something. Find out. Just kind of doing this video in sections here. Alright, so the J-tube is on. Just do a whole bunch of, this is what I've been using. Do a bunch of that on the seals, since these are all fresh seals. Just pressure and wiggle it on there. Don't know why it's blurry. And then, got the O-ring on there, sat down. This bolt was just a little bit tight going in, but it threaded in, didn't, cross thread or anything. Went in smooth after it got started. And so 72 inch-pounds. Or 8 foot-pounds. Don't mess that up. My little inch-pound torque wrench. 72 of them. And then I'm going to put the cover on next. Note for the cover. You have, I believe it's your timing cover off the back here. This is like this, so it comes together. I got my phone plugged in, so my charge cable keeps getting hooked on everything. Comes together right here. Throw a small dab of RTV right here. Otherwise, you will more than likely end up with a leak. Small dab right here on both sides. Over there too. And then carefully put your cover on and try not to make a mess. And then also torque all those mounting bolts all the way around to the same 72 inch-pounds. Same as J-tube. So we're gonna get the cover and get it cleaned up. Throw the new O-ring mounting on it. Throw some RTV on those 2 spots, and we're gonna mount it. Okay, well, I'm in the process of cleaning this up, making sure everything's clean and whatnot. wanted to note, see if it'll, this spot here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got that ridge and that dimple in it. You can see where that cover, where the two covers mate together on both sides. You can kind of see how the O-ring kind of has a divot and a stamp in it. This will cause you a leak over time. That's why I said throw a small dab of RTV in the corners when you mount this. Now here we are, update. We got the cover installed. Like I said, this is a early 2003 6.0, so this is my cover style. Versus I think 04.5 is when they changed the pump and the cover. And the 04.5 and up, a lot easier to work on, I guess, in the grand scheme of things for this. Because in my case, I got to pull the whole intake off just to get to this. But anyway, got all these bolts all the way around. 72 inch-pound, 8 foot-pound if you don't have an inch-pound. So that's all torqued down. You can see a little bit of the orange Loctite there. I used it on both sides. The gasket, I obviously put the gasket on there, the O-ring. And see if I can grab it here. This is the old O-ring. Now the new one that I just installed, it actually was this way when I was looking at it, because here's where the grooves were for the timing cover. Yeah, it only goes on one way. There's a little like tab right here, so you can't put it on wrong. It only goes one way. So that's that. That's the high pressure oil pump now installed. This would have been this is a good time if you're replacing your ICP or your IPR. You have full access to them. So now in my case, I'm going to get my riff-raff crossover return lines here rerouted, kind of back where they belong. And then I'm going to stick the heavy-ass intake back on here. And since these gaskets have only been on here like 3,000 miles since I did the heads back in spring, I'm just going to reuse them because they've got like 3 months on them. There should be no reason they should be reusable. I was going to buy new ones, but not for being on that little bit of a time. All right, continuing on here. All right, here's where we're at. As you know, we've got the HPOP cover on. Just got the intake on. I believe the newer style intakes don't have the crossover part that goes in the back, which is what makes the 2004 style newer easier to do for your high pressure oil pump, versus mine. I have to pull my whole intake off to make it happen, which adds a whole bunch more work. Anyways, got this bolted back down, 8 foot-pounds, 96 inch-pounds because I didn't have anything that went that low. Got my J-pipe back on. Pedestal's just kind of loosely sitting in there. I'm about to throw the bolts in on that. Got my return fuel system going in, kind of just sitting in there right now. There's a little hole behind the plate, goes through, kind of comes back around up to here. And then the other one off the driver's side back there just pops up, comes under, just runs right along the side of the valley there. So we're going to move on to getting the turbo bracket there attached, and might call it a day. We'll see there. I almost forgot I got to get this mounted in here with the screw. And I might try and get the turbo mounted tonight. I think I might just wait till tomorrow and deal with it then, because it's a whole bunch of work once I start dealing with the turbo. Of course, you got to get the drain tube in. Got to deal with all of this, which is a struggle no matter what you do. But, so that's where I'm at. And I'm going to loosely mount that Can't remember if I loosely mount it, if I can get back to those bolts or not. Guess we're going to find out the hard way. Alright everybody, here's our latest update. Obviously we have had a large jump since last snippet I did. Intake obviously is on. Turbo is in. It took like forever to get in. It's always the biggest struggle for me is getting the turbo in and out. But as they say, leave everything loose, but left the turbo loose and got to deal with your up pipe moving around, and then you've got your up pipe and then your down pipe. I'll get it right. Yeah, so that was hard to get lined up. Kind of got it lined up, which then adds weight to the turbo because it's hooked on the back, off the back, and then your up pipes are a pain in the butt. So I just kind of used a bunch of words and finally got it in there, tightened up and bolted down. Now we're dealing with the most fun part, right? All the spaghetti mess, trying to get it all routed back the way it belongs, which is no fun. Think I got everything situated where it belongs, just kind of laid everything out. And I'm going to start plugging everything in little by little here, and probably got another half hour, an hour to just getting this wiring lined up. And then after I get the wiring kind of buttoned up, and then I'll worry about getting the alternator in and get all the charge tubes in, I guess we'll call them, for the hot side, the cold side, air, you know. Of course, got to get the coolant hose back on, but I haven't popped it on yet. I still have to tighten up my fuel. Just kind of got them finger tight on there. Got to finish hooking up those and get this part done anyway. And then once all of this is done, then I get to return back to laying on my back, and that's the old getting the new oil pump stuff in, which is over here. But we'll do another video on that stuff. That's the update right now. We're getting closer. Alright, this is the end of this part here. We got, as you see, everything's back hooked up and plumbed back in and plugged back in, and at least this part I still have to work on, make a video and such of putting the low pressure oil pump back in and everything else, but top side's done. So I'll work on the video for that. But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in and watching this typical everyday ownership of a 6.0, it seems to be, at least in my case. But catch you guys later.